So that happened. Legends Johto Dreamers and Unova Remake hopefuls were left in absolute shambles yesterday, as the most unexpected thing in Pokemon since Ash actually becoming the very best like no one ever was has actually happened. Zygarde came crashing in with the steel chair, and finally, after last being seen in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, Megas are back on the menu. Now, as a certified XY enjoyer, since these were the games that were debuting when I finally joined the Pokemon fandom in 2013, I was just a little bit excited to hear the news.
Woo! Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about.
You seeing this?
Megas are back! After spending literal weeks working on the third BLOODMOON video. Side note, please subscribe or join the Patreon so I can keep animating these absolute monstrosities. I promise they're going to be worth it. I'm absolutely thrilled that I get to spend a year making Mega Fakemon. Now, Gen 6 was a weird one. Whilst it gave Mega Evolutions to fan favorites like Mewtwo, Charizard, Mewtwo, or Dino, and Charizard, the only Pokemon from that generation that actually got a new Mega form was Diancie, everyone's favorite mythical that hasn't been seen in a main series Pokemon game since 2016, 8 whole years ago. The Kalos Dex is the smallest one ever, with only 69 new Pokemon added. However, it is absolutely stacked with amazing additions to the franchise, including my second favorite Pokemon of all time in Noivern. These absolute belters of Pokemon deserve the love that was given to Pokemon from other gens, and I cannot wait to see what Pokemon ZA will have in store for them when it releases in 2025. However, in the meantime, I'm going to use my trusty Apple Pencil and an inordinate number of cups of tea to make some Mega Fakemon for all of you beautiful Kalos fans out there. So, for my first video on new Mega Pokemon, outside of that other video I made where I mostly Mega Evolved the Kitakami legendaries, link at the top and in the description if you haven't seen it, I figured I'd take a look at 3 Pokemon that deserve Mega Evolutions more than almost any others. The XY Starter Trio is notorious for its incredibly unbalanced nature, whilst it has one of the most beloved starters of all time that in 2020 was voted the #1 most popular Pokemon in a poll run by Google, canonically fused with Ash freaking Ketchum, and was even the first new Pokemon added to the Smash Bros franchise since the punching pup powerhouse Lucario. Gen 6 also features 2 of the stinkiest and most hated starters of all time. Awkward middle stages and the start of an uproar against bipedal fur-coated fire types were a death sentence to these 2 ultimately lukewarm final designs, but finally, with Mega Evolution back on the menu, these underwhelming Pokemon could stand toe-to-toe with their froggy friend. The first of the trio is the spiny armor Pokemon, Chesnaught. This grass steel type is based off of the combined defensive powers of a medieval juggernaut, a chestnut, and a hedgehog. This defensive powerhouse comes equipped with the signature move Spiky Shield that leaves it capable of withstanding bomb blasts, and a tackle so forceful it could flip a 50-ton tank. A creature this stacked without Mega Evolution would surely become an absolute beast with a Mega Stone applied to the dome, and Mega Chesnaught absolutely fits that description. The defensive power of this Pokemon shoots up, as does its offensive abilities, as it grows in bulk and its spikes grow across its arms to form a lance-like sword on its left and a diamond-hard shield on the right. The shield bashes it delivers are capable of toppling skyscrapers, and the slashes of its blunt behemoth blade crush anything left in its path. Thankfully, even Mega Evolved, this Pokemon keeps its peaceful composure and only uses force if it absolutely has to. Its new ability, in Mirror Armor, allows it to shake off all stat-lowering moves and abilities back onto its opponents. For design inspiration, I used armored characters like Guts from Berserk and Reinhardt from Overwatch, particularly his Baldric skin. This Paladin Pangolin has the potential to level anything it put its mind to, so we're lucky it's content simply protecting its allies rather than going on the offense. The Fire-type member of the Kalos starter trio is the fox Pokemon, Delphox. Based off of the mage archetype, Delphox is a bipedal magic fox that uses a wand to channel its psychic energy into its 5,400 degree Fahrenheit maelstroms of fire that incinerate its foes. This witch-like Pokemon uses its magical psychic abilities to divinate the future.
It's among the darkest omens in our world. It's an omen of death.
and can trick its opponents to take their hold items when it hits them with attacks. After Mega Evolving, however, Delphox transforms from simple sorcerer to an archmage. Mega Delphox's firepower has drastically increased, and it uses its new staff to manipulate torrents of flame with perfect precision, using its innate and enhanced telekinetic powers. Flames smolder along the brim of its hat-like tufts of fur on its head, and like any good psychic fox creature, its tail has multiplied to make up a robe-like skirt that waves rhythmically with its graceful gestures as it casts its inferno magic. Mega Delphox protects itself as it commands the blazing fire with its new ability in Magic Bounce, reflecting all status moves coming its way. This Pokemon is steadfast in its calm and controlled but relentless deadly attacks. Its transcendental serenity is incredibly unnerving to witness, and if you were to find yourself on the receiving end of its incineration, you would be granted a swift but definite end. Finally, we get to redesign the wonder child of the Kalos region, the almost flawless Greninja. This Pokemon is pretty much perfect already. It's so good in battle that both its signature abilities had to be nerfed, and from an artistic perspective, this Pokemon is almost perfect. Outside of its slightly unsettling tongue, it's probably the coolest design that they've ever made, but that won't stop me from trying to improve it. I started with a pose I was pretty happy with, gave it a hat, and then I just drew Greninja and hoped I'd be able to come up with something better, but all I could think to do was to add bubbles. I went and showed my finished Froggy to Toby and Luke, who was over for a cup of tea at the time, and they both told me that my little Froggy drawing was awful. It was the worst thing they'd ever seen, and they never wanted to be associated with me again. Nah, that didn't happen. They just thought it could be better. And to be honest, I agreed. So I went back to the drawing board, and with the help of the Council of Elder YouTubers, I was pointed towards a mixture of the tail of the gallant Jiraiya, the Frubbles from Froakie and Frogadier, and Kunai instead of throwing stars, because they're cool. With all that in mind, Mega Greninja was born. This ninja frog uses the bubbles it secretes to form throwing weapons and launches them at its targets at lightning speed. Each individual bubble it creates is capable of slicing anything it comes into contact with in two, so when it launches them together, these projectiles can cause devastating damage. Now that Mega Greninja has re-embraced its bubbly nature, it has access to an ability that until now has been exclusive to a Pokemon too mediocre to make any decent use of it: Water Bubble. This simple sounding ability reduces the power of fire-type moves against the user and prevents it from being burned. But what is lesser known about this ability is that it doubles the damage of the user's water-type moves. This puts the already incredibly sound Greninja into busted territory, as its water shurikens now hit even harder than its predecessor Ash Greninjas ever did. The promise of more Mega Pokemon is the most reinvigorated in the Pokemon community I've felt since they added Gigantamaxes. Creating new forms and breathing new life into old Pokemon is my absolute favorite thing to do in the Pokemon art world, and I really hope that you guys love my Mega Evolved Kalos starters as much as I do. Finally, which Pokemon should I Mega Evolve next? I already have more than a few ideas for new Fakemon creations, and I cannot wait for more official Pokemon to be revealed throughout the coming year. You helped me be the best I ever was, to pay my rent, yeah, that's my cause. Borgel 169, Clara, Avery, Ann Oat, Castfruit 319, Edward, White, Nick, Charles, Ryan, McBee, Lucas, Gates, Jane, Matagar, Medi. Thank 'em, gotta thank 'em all, gotta thank 'em all. Patreon. PSAPimp, SDH, Rachel Lynn, Immortal, Absol, Zachary Green, Lord Fairlington, EX, Happy Face, Brandon, Likes Andrew D. Fontura. That's all I got for this one. If you want in, join the Patreon.